And I'm talking toxicity in every shape and form, like from the decimation of hormones to death and destruction to pharmaceutical heaven. I mean, it's just really bad. The food systems, people being confused about what they are. There is only two things you can be.
Yes.
Period. That is science. I didn't make that up. You either have a dick or a vagina. Period. You're either XX or XY. Done. There is no other DNA.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crime and Entertainment. We have returning guest Ryan Connor. Ryan, how are you?
I am doing great, baby doll.
It's been a long time since we've had you on.
It's been a
And
smidge.
until recently, you were our biggest viewed guest. I think your episode is right around 90,000. At the time, it was the top for a very long time. You recently did get beat, but maybe this one can top that one. Yeah.
Damn.
But I think your comments and like the interactiveness of your fans is definitely far beyond anybody else that's been on there. There might have been some that had some views, but the interactiveness of your fans and the people that are fans of your work is really astronomical. Some
That's
message
awesome.
me a lot. quite a bit, in fact.
That's funny. Yeah. People can get that way.
Yes, they can. So you've got some news, some fairly big news. Okay.
Some fairly big news.
Now, the question on everybody's mind is going to be, okay, how did this happen?
Who done it?
Yeah, who done it and how did this happen? So I'm just going to kick back
and
get the tea, if you will.
Yeah. Well, pull out your drink, baby. Start sipping. Well, so let's see. At 50, I hit menopause. Well, even before that, I hit menopause. And I met somebody at 49, 50. And we dated for 3 years. Well, it must have been 49 that I met him. And he was 36. So younger than me. And I told him, I said I was already in menopause for 2 years. You don't, if you date me, I can't have kids anymore. No, that's fine. We'll just adopt or we'll just live a life, and have fun. I said, okay, cool. Awesome. So we went to start living our life. And I have to say, well, I'll tell you some smoky details.
Yeah.
He was in the Secret Service.
Whoa.
Yeah. So for a while, I moved to DC for a bit of time, and we tried making a go of it. I think that him being in that industry in particular was very difficult because there appeared to be red flags, but they could be covered by what he did for a living. Right. So, you know what I mean? So it was like this sly playa kind of stuff.
Yeah, secret, I guess you would say acts, but could be within reason of the job.
007 shit that they try to say, oh, yeah, so I can't tell you, okay. So anyway, 6 months maybe into it, he was like, I really want a baby. And I'm like, okay, let me see if that's even possible. So I start doing some research, and I had eggs, but I just kind of figured by then I was about ready to dump them. And, I don't know what they do with eggs after they've been frozen for a while. So, apparently we could restart the old machines and get things a chugging. So I started that process. Um, it was me paying for a lot up front, and then he was supposed to, on the back end, pay me back at least half for his share. Like we're splitting the kid.
Yeah.
um, which is funny. It's a funny mindset to me because I grew up very traditional, very the man takes care of his family. And
Mhm.
I'm still that way. And I think there's a hierarchy and there's a reason for a hierarchy. Just like
Mhm.
we have a president, just like every country has a dictator or a king or a something. There's some head that calls the shots.
Mhm.
I think that's for a reason.
Mhm.
And I think if you don't have that hierarchy, you're kind of fucked. Because this, you can't have, I mean, can I have input into, yes, it is a partnership, definitely. I definitely think. But in the end, some one person needs to make the final decision, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so I just really believe in a traditional family unit and not this, we'll both pay for half of an apartment. Okay, but I have a house in Vegas where I really want to live, you know?
Mhm.
So anyway, I spent a ton of money up front and doing all this stuff. And then the red flags just got to a point where I could not ignore the red flags anymore. Um, I came to the apartment in DC and was kind of cleaning and organizing and found some clothes. And they were like, you know, stripper hoochie clothes. Yeah, hidden away. And and lashes and you know stuff like that that looked like somebody had taken a trip with him.
Mhm.
And the you know I'm a pretty good, like I can ignore a lot of my gut until I can't, and then when I can't, it's like undeniable. I just can't ignore it anymore. I know that that is a falsehood. And it was the reaction when I said, hey, I found this stuff, what up? I feel bamboozled, I feel ambushed. What? You feel ambushed? If this is really your sister's clothes, why are you feeling ambushed?
Yeah.
You know, you have to wonder that, right? So anyway, I parted ways, went my merry way. And I'm happy because once I made that decision, it was just an amazing relief off of my shoulders, because all those red flags had been there in my mind all the time, ticking away. And that's no way to live, you know?
Mhm.
And that's certainly no way to bring a child into existence. Like,
Mhm.
I would not live with that. It's mind boggling to me because I am who I am and I do what I do. And I have allowed you to partake in stuff with me. Why would you ever think you have to hide anything?
Yeah, you would think in that kind of relationship with that kind of openness and
Yeah.
understanding to,
Yeah.
the desires that one may have, there would be no reason to want to do that.
Yep. But I have to say that some people have the player mentality, and it's so ingrained in them that they will get in trouble for something that they just can, or you know what? I mean, some people just like their secrets. They just
Yeah.
do.
And it could be the
And
thrill of it. I mean, like I know
yeah,
people that necessarily don't need the money, but they like to gamble to win money because it's that thrill of not knowing if you're going to win or lose.
yep.
It's just something. It's that euphoria that you get out of it
Yes.
that not everybody's going to get.
Well, look at all the celebrities who've been caught, you know, shoplifting and stuff. Like you have millions. What the fuck are you shoplifting a scarf from Fendi or, you know, like
Yeah.
why? That makes no sense. But, you know, people do what they do for whatever adrenaline or whatever dopamine they need. Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
So, you know, it was a relief anyway, and I'm happier for it. And then once I was back home, I started really thinking about like why I fell so hard, why I was stuck so much and I wanted to make it work. And and why I would have a kid with that person, even though the red flags were there all along. And that started me down a path of saying, my daughter she'll be 29 next month. So for 29 fucking years, I have wanted a family, and I wanted more than one child. And I kept waiting and waiting. What is that classic sentence? If you keep waiting for life to happen, you're going to wait until you have no time left. Right. And I almost, by the hair of my chinny chin chin, almost waited too long. So I just said, you know what? Fuck it. I've paid all this money. That person has paid damn near nothing, but excuses. So, maybe this was my heart and my destiny, and that's what I was meant to do. So I think the world is a very crazy place. Do I think the world will survive whatever is coming? Yes, I do. And I think we need good, solid, sound of mind generations coming. Hey, stop it.
We desperately need that.
Yes. I mean, we have been toxified to the point, and I think this is worldwide, not just America, although I think America has been ground zero for that toxicity. And I'm talking toxicity in every shape and form, like from the decimation of hormones to death and destruction to pharmaceutical heaven. I mean, it's just really bad. The food systems, people being confused about what they are. There is only two things you can be.
Yes.
Period. That is science. I didn't make that up. You either have a dick or a vagina. Period. You're either XX or XY. Done. There is no other DNA. That's it. How you feel, oh my God, there's millions of feelings.
Yes.
But what is there can only be two things. So, I think that, yes, we will survive. We might have to go underground. I don't know what's going to happen. This world is fucking nuts right now. And I think about it often, not in a worry, because I don't I think you can fear into paralysis, right? And then it wins. It's won. So I don't do that. I try to be strategic and analytical. And I say, okay, if this happens, what do I do? If this happens, where do I go? If this happens, what's next? What's the first step? And just be prepared.
Prepare. That's the biggest thing, being prepared. And I think that's, so many people wait till something has happened to try to do something about it, as opposed to prepping, like you're talking about, and being prepared for the situation.
And might I touch briefly on Hurricane Helena? I don't know how to say it, but I think all those people that were affected were primarily in areas that knew there were lithium deposits, that mining operation was beginning or starting to try to begin. And if you haven't been living under a rock for the last century, you got to know that BlackRock controls damn near everything, including the weather. Okay, so if you know that, get prepared. I don't care where you are. I don't care if you're on, in the Alps and you think you're impervious. You're not. So be prepared.
Yeah, and that's crazy, because a lot of where that damage did, like in the Asheville, North Carolina area, that's not far from me.
There.
Yeah,
really?
I'm in Charleston, so South Carolina. Asheville's only like 3 hours from here, and I had never heard of like a hurricane doing that type of damage up there. I mean, it's washed towns away.
Yes.
The pictures are crazy, and a lot of people that I know are doing rescue efforts and taking supplies up there, and we're really stepping up, as a unified front here in the Carolinas. And but I mean, it was just, you think Myrtle Beach, Charleston, where I'm at, the coastal cities, you don't really think, or at least I didn't, but yeah, it was devastating.
Honey, that's for sure weather modification. I
Mhm.
mean, we've been seeding clouds and doing weather mod since the 1800s at least.
Mhm.
At least. And if you wear the tinfoil hat like I do, you believe that something much, 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 much older, like 40,000 years of our years, has
Mhm.
been monitoring the earth and running and ruling. And if you think that, and you think Atlantis and Lemuria and all these, then you can understand then this is simple to understand. This is
Mhm.
a repeat, rinse and repeat. We're going to fuck them up and then we're going to just regrow. I mean, Noah's Ark, it's fucking what in Sweden or wherever it is, the seed bank that they have.
Mhm.
That's Noah's Ark. It probably has copies of everybody's DNA too. Can they repeat it? Fuck yes. They can print meat on a plastic printer, which boggles my mind. They can now, they're scientists. I just read this the other day and I thought that's amazing, but that's revolting. Japanese scientists have been working on something that because they have too much fecal matter in Tokyo. So they've been working on what to do with all this feces. They have discovered that there is a bacteria that grows on the feces that's protein. So they're making steaks out of it. Oh, yes.
Oh
So
boy.
not only will we have lab meat, we'll have poop meat and we'll have cricket meat, cricket food, all of which has not been tested on humankind that I know of. I mean,
Yes.
maybe in Lemuria and Atlantis and all these other places, maybe. Who knows? But
I definitely do want to stay on this. Did
I
you want
know,
to wrap
sorry.
anything? Yeah, yeah. No, I want to get to this, but I didn't want to leave people hanging on this. So how did like you said you want to continue after the gentleman had made his
Yeah, so
exit?
I decided that I just, I had spent all this money and I said, fuck it. I'm just gonna I'll just I'll figure it out. I'll find a way to find the other pair.
Yeah.
Which is what I did. I mean, honestly, between me, you, and now probably 90,000 people plus,
Hopefully, 90,000.
um, I just bought sperm.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why I did that. I had plenty of people who would offer and would make great parents or just donors, would make great
I've
donors.
actually had some of those offers for you in my DMs to contact you.
You're
And I'm
hilarious.
not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, you know what I thought about, and the boyfriend in DC really made me think long and hard about this. What would have happened had I gone with him and gotten pregnant? And then what kind of complication would have come from that had the same thing taken its course because he is who he is, right?
Mhm.
So then I would be possibly having somebody that's trying to get my kid or his family who's trying to get my kid.
Yeah.
And do I really want that? Or do I really want the interference of telling me, like, I don't believe in traditional schooling anymore. I'd rather
Mhm.
hire somebody that comes to my house and teaches the way I want them taught than send them to public school and the sky's the limit. Maybe they decide that my child doesn't like its sex. They've convinced it that it's not the sex that it is, and now they're taking away my kid and doing things, barbaric things. I mean, and it's funny, I tell people all the time, like, I've had every surgery known to man, cosmetic, like I've done
Mhm.
everything. And I believe in that. I think you should. If you want to change something, change your nose, change your eyes, change your this, change your do it. Whatever makes you happy. But I will say, learn from people who have come before you. So if
Yes.
somebody says, I've had 4 liposuctions and it's never turned out good, listen. Like, listen, use your ears, use your heart. They're trying to tell you they're not competing with you. It's coming from a place of, I love you. You're not going to get the results that you want. Conversely, I worked out with a trainer, first time ever. I mean, I've had tons and tons and tons of trainers, and she was the only one who sat me down and said, are you faithful to my diet? And I said, yes. And she's like, then something's wrong with your hormones, and sent me to a hormone doctor. Because in my 30s, I was having problems with hormones, which leads to the food system. Anyway, so that's what happened with the pregnancy. I decided I wanted to do it anyway, and that was really what was in my heart. And that's why it was so easy for this person to sway me, was because it's been there all along, and it's what I wanted. And of course, I talked to my daughter and got her impression of how she felt about that, and she was all for it. And I said, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I think now more than ever, there's enough niches in my industry that it should not affect my income. I'm stable enough with what I've made in the past. It should not affect my living.
Right.
So I'm going to go for it, you know?
And that's awesome. And like you said, you've been around, you know, and taking breaks, come back, basically came back at the top of your game. We discussed all that, you know, the first time you were on the show. If anybody wants to go check that out. But that's very true, because, like, you know, there's a niche for everything. I mean,
Yep.
everything, every body part, every whatever you want. And, you know, would you still film while you're pregnant? Is that, I'm
Oh,
out
I
of
have.
curiosity. You have
Yes.
already?
I have already, yes.
Now, is that
I'm
worked into the storyline or plot line or whatever?
I'm 6 months along now. This was maybe 2 weeks ago that I shot. For 2 of the scenes, I did not mention it, and I could kind of suck it in. And if you really know me, you might see something. You might just think I'm getting fat, to be honest with you. But it's a little bit more noticeable now. I
Right.
hit 6 months tomorrow, I think. Or what day is it? It's Tuesday, right? No, it's
Yes.
Monday. Wednesday, I hit
Monday.
6 months.
Okay.
So,
I remember when I texted you about a month or so ago, and I was saying, "Hey, did you want to get together for an episode?" And you said, I forgot how you worded it. I have to look back, but you said something along the lines of "I'm pregnant." But I'm like, maybe that's a term, or she's just fucking with me. Like, I don't know if she's actually being serious.
this 53-year-old bitch is fucking with me.
I mean, I didn't think that, but I'm just like, really? Because, like, I could have sworn you're still working. And I mean, like, so I just like, maybe it was like some people say, you know, if they put on a pound, it means, I'm pregnant. You know, I didn't know I didn't know. But
Yeah,
that
I'm
is
being
crazy.
very careful with who I shoot with, and I have requested people to get a test the day before.
Right.
And all of it was for my own productions, which I might shoot for another production, but I don't know. So far, the reason I have held tight to my own production is if all of the people I'm picking, I've been with before, so no newcomers. I know their dick. I know how it feels. I know if it hurts me, if it doesn't hurt me, if it's too big, if it's this, if it's that, if they're too aggressive. I can tell them to back off. I can also say, 15 minutes into it, I'm done. I'm kind of tired, because I call the shots. So,
Yeah, you're not at the mercy of no one else.
yeah, it's not a grueling all day. Because when I shoot for like Brazzers or any other company, you're there all day. I mean, especially if it's an anal scene, I'm preparing at 5 a.m. My call time might be 8. I get there, I'm there till 4 or 5 p.m. How long we actually shoot for might be, maybe 2 hours total. But there's a lot of setup time. There might be actual dialogue. There might be a whole lot of more supporting stuff. And it's just a grueling day. And if it's an anal day for me, I don't eat generally.
Right.
Which now is going to add a whole different twist. So I just don't know if I'll shoot for anybody. I might, because it's good publicity to have on other, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm curious to see how you navigate this, because you've always been one who has managed to stay not only relevant, but like at the top of their game, regardless. Even, you took a 10-year break.
I did.
Yeah,
I'm
you took
sorry.
a
I have a
10-year.
dog in here and she's
No,
just.
you're fine. You took a 10-year break and then basically come right back on the top of your. So you've always managed to navigate the waters, and that's not easy given how much everything has changed over the years. I mean, from VHS, DVDs to now everything's pretty much streamed and subscription based. It's
You know
impressive.
what? Let me say this, and I think this is happening in music, in Hollywood. It's happening everywhere. I think the stars are, there's more of them, but they're less bright.
Yes.
Okay. So we're not coming out with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitts anymore. They're
Right.
not as big and bright. Um, I think the powers that be realize that movies and songs and all of that is propaganda. And if it's just propaganda, we don't need to pay 5 million now that person's charging. We'll just get a new girl, or a new person and start over. And that's what they're doing. So we don't have as big as stars. I mean, there are no Elvises anymore, right? No,
Right.
Michael Jackson's dead. That magnitude is just not around. And even Lady Gaga, I mean, she came out with something that's kind of, you're cool still, but
Yeah.
whatevs, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I see it anyway. I perceive it, and I feel the same because it's a smaller fishbowl, but it's the same kind of thing, right? So
Right.
I think, yeah,
Go ahead. Well, I was
I
gonna
just
say,
I
even like your Tom Cruises and Brad Pitts and all that, like they can still get it done. Like I watched a movie last week. It's called The Wolves, and it's got George Clooney and Brad Pitt. Both of them have been out for a while. Or I mean, they don't. They're not. They don't act as much as they used to, but they
right.
play like cleaners of Hollywood. So say you accidentally, kill somebody or whatever, and you're a prominent figure and you need it all taken care of. You call him. So Clooney, in the very opening minutes of the film, Clooney shows up. He's figuring out what he's going to do, and then you hear, knock at the door, and it's Brad Pitt. He's also a cleaner. So they're like, "Who are you? Who are you? What are you here for? What are you here for?" Just like we're here for the same thing, and that's the movie, and it's very good. But like you said, those guys are, they're not getting any younger, and the budget for what they want, you like you said, if you take a young star and put the money into the other aspects of it, you still got a good thing on your hands. And there's one thing I want to mention. I don't know, have you been following this stuff with P Diddy?
Ish.
Okay.
Ish. Yeah.
So the one thing is, like, P Diddy's been around since I was in high school, and obviously Notorious B.I.G. was a huge rap name.
Yep.
He kind of blew up really on his death. I mean, you know who he was, but then after
Right.
that, he had that hit song, I'll Be Missing You, or whatever it was, the one he wrote for him. And then he kind of done his own debut album, and then he just grew his brand from Ciroc to Sean John. And his parties, what they call Diddy parties, have been synonymous in Hollywood with all the stars, music stars, movie stars, all these people. He's had pictures with everybody you can think of. And the one thing that I find odd with all this,
Epstein.
not one person, Epstein, yes,
It's an
same
Epstein.
way. He's a Jeffrey Epstein. Not one person has came out and said, man, I know him. He wouldn't do that. Not one.
Yep.
Not anybody.
Yep. They're all tight as a butthole.
And why do you think that is?
It's because he's guilty as fuck. They are all guilty as fuck.
I think a lot of people are now nervous.
Yep.
Because they don't know what names are going to be named. And allegedly, yep. I've covered this with a few different, people. Allegedly, he has videotapes of a lot of these people. So that's why a lot of them probably never said anything. And, a lot of people are probably very, very nervous right now that he could be
I
naming
have
people.
no doubt about that. And I think as we inch closer and closer to voting, there will be more and more and more distractions to, we're in the gladiator games, right? We're being fed bread. Let them eat bread and let them watch the games. That's what this is. And all the while, we will not be told how we're getting fucked in the ass 6 ways to Sunday until it's too late.
No, I agree.
That's the truth. I really truly believe that. I think the hurricane was an event like that. I just heard, I was fishing around. I usually I take a bath at night. That's my nightly thing. I take a bath and I get ready for bed, and I just fish through Instagram and, see because I don't watch anything like the news or anything. I find it too depressing and what's the word? I think it's just too much of a weight on a person's soul, and it's all fake anyway. It's propaganda. So I just don't, I'd like to hit the highlights, and somebody somewhere on Instagram is going to say some stuff that's going on, and then that's how I find out.
Yeah.
So I heard last night that the next thing is Garth Brooks, and I have not dug into it. I don't have any clue what he's done or what's coming out or nothing. I just heard that he's the next P. Diddy. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Dogs. So I think that that's just going to continue on right up until, it might even continue on afterwards, because quite honestly, oh man, I think we're screwed no matter how the election turns out. I want Trump to win because I think out of the two of them, he's our only hope. That's how I
Yeah.
feel.
No, I do too. 100%.
He's the only one with a brain.
Yeah.
The other party is not dealing with a full deck, and I can't even imagine. Will they steal it? They could. They did with Biden. I don't believe Biden won.
No.
Could they? There's so many could ifs, maybe, and all these paths that you can go down. We could go into civil war either way.
Yes.
Whoever wins, it could lead into civil war.
If Trump would have gotten shot, if that assassination would have hit his mark and taken Trump out months ago, I do think this country would have seen 100% without the shadow of a doubt another civil war.
Yep. Well, I don't think we're past it yet.
No, we're not. But it would have definitely started then. And like you said, the outcome of that election could trigger one. It's definitely a possibility. But I like to tell people, and I love the stories that you put on Instagram. Like I just, I get a kick out of all of them. I usually wind up watching all of them and following all their pages, and because you post the stories. And I'm not sure if this was on yours or if this was somebody else I seen. But it's like, everybody wants to say Trump wants to destroy America. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. If he would have wanted to do that, he would have done it his first 4 years.
Yeah.
And to kick back from that, Kamala is saying what she wants to fix. If she wanted to fix it, she could have already done it in her first 4 years. So like neither one of them are, what people are trying to portray. If Trump wanted to just destroy the world to line his own pockets, he'd have done it in the first 4 years. He didn't do that.
Well, that's precisely what I think too. You could go down the what if path until you're blue in the face. Something's got to happen. Something's going to happen. Someone's going to die. Something's going to happen. I don't think we go peacefully into the night. I think of all the time about how I hear about people building bunkers and shit. And I watched this news story one time. It was like a documentary or something about if they're tunneling into the earth, truly, what are they doing with all the earth that they tunnel out with, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's crazy. I don't know what they're doing. Just leave it. Sorry. So I kept watching, and they found a machine, a big machine, huge, massive machine that burrows into the earth and makes it glass. So it just melts it. There is no debris to take away. Wow. So I started thinking about that. Now, if you had, we're trillions. The mind cannot even fathom the amount of debt we have now. You just can't. There's no way you could pile out an amount of money and understand just how fucking much money that is, you know? There's no way. I mean, yeah, we've sent all these billions to here. It comes back into our own politicians' pockets. That's how it's a loop. You know, they send it out, take some for yourself and pass it on. It's puff, puff, pass.
And what's really aggravating is right now, I'm sure you've probably seen it. They own Kamala said a thing where she's like, we're going to give everybody affected by Hurricane Helene $750.
I know. I know.
However many billions to fucking Ukraine, $750. Come on.
And she's also sending like $1.5 million to Lebanon right now. But did you know that FEMA money, that $750 that those hurricane victims get, they don't get. It's a loan.
It's a loan. I found that out today. Somebody told me that. It's a loan. And then if you don't pay it back, they can come after you for your land.
Which is exactly what's going to happen.
And that's why it led me into what you were talking about is, okay, if you can somehow create these horrific weather conditions, right, put these people in these bad situations where they have to grab a hold of whatever little bit of money you want to give them, and then they can't pay it back, then you just fucking take it.
And that is precisely why FEMA is blocking any attempts right now of neighbors coming and helping.
They want
they're like literally blocking it. It's just, you know, I didn't think that much darkness could exist in the world, like spread out, but it seems to, and I just don't understand. How could you work for FEMA and do that? How can you look at yourself? How could you look at yourself and know that you're preventing people that could die? You might be the reason why they're dying. And just not give a fuck. What? Because of a land grab by people who are already billionaires?
Yeah.
Like, it'd be different if we're talking about, you know, Podunk Joe and his brother Bob, like, need that mining money. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about people who already are the wealthiest people in the world.
And just want more.
You know, it's all about control. The lithium doesn't matter. Lithium is the worst thing cruising the earth right now. We should not be making electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are horrible for the earth. Every green technology, unless it's coming out of fucking Nikola Tesla's fucking book, I don't trust any of it. They decimate the land where I'm the first person to admit I jumped on the solar bandwagon. I bought solar panels for my house. And one day I was talking to my friend and we were working numbers, and I said, no, but it saves me because I used to have like a $600 to $800 electric bill during the summertime here. And it saves me and this and that and da 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 da. And he's like, yeah, but let's do the calculation because it lasts for 20 years, 20, 30 years. And I said, wait, what? What did you say? Hold up, rewind. And he's like, yeah, the panels only last for 20 or 30 years, and then they have to be replaced. I said, excuse me? So I went and spent $30,000 plus to have this put. All I'm doing is fronting the money. I'm fronting my electric bill.
Yeah. Probably to a government-funded solar panel operation.
And I follow this guy, Billy Carson, and he's like big into the Anunnaki, and he's big into archaeology, and he's big into the Bible, and he does reading, you know, like he's just a smart individual. And he was saying something about the solar panel cells that we have only produce something like less than 10% of what they could. They have deliberately reduced them, to which I said, oh, that makes perfect sense. So you've got slave children mining lithium for something that can never be buried, or like we have no program to handle the fucking garbage later on. You know, these propellers fall off of shit kill things, it decimate birds. Wherever they put these solar panel fields, it's dead ground underneath.
Mhm.
Dead ground underneath. Then you start looking at, like, veganism. Okay, yeah, it sounds hypothetically great. Oh, the cows are farting. It's just a horrible thing. Then you find out, like, oh, hold up, for them to farm these vegan crops, they have to do things to the land that kill way more. It's way more destruction.
Yeah.
It's way more destruction. So thank you. I'll take my little lot of land. I'll have my 5 cows. I'll sacrifice a cow every year and I'll have food for the year. And that's the way I'm going to operate. And everybody else should operate the same.
I just started watching Yellowstone. You ever watch that?
Love it. Yep.
I just started. I don't know why I'm so late to the party because it's fantastic. But I just started it, and it's kind of like what you said. I just started the third season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they're fighting, much kind of like what we've talked about, people
Yes.
coming in trying to take their land, multimillionaires trying to take their land, turn it into something, put up casinos or whatever. And Kevin Costner's character, he told him, he's like, I'm not rich. He's like, we live year to year. He's like, a lot of times, I think in there they even said the ranch hadn't turned a profit in a couple of years, but it's the way they live. Is what they know. And I think that is ultimately what society is trying to become. They want to gobble up everything they can get their hands on, turn everything into
A
a way
stock.
to make a dollar. Yeah.
Stock. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're even talking about carbon. It's carbon credits, I think is what it's called. And you know, like the output of air or water or land resources that you can now trade on the stock exchange.
Holy shit.
Like what? What?
How do
No.
you even buy that?
Right. How do you quantify it?
Yeah. How do you buy air? Jesus Christ.
Carbon credits. It's bullshit.
That and we talked a little bit off air, and we can get into this too, but like everything is going to a cashless society, and what it's doing, it's making it harder for anybody, people in your industry, people that do side work. A lot of people have side jobs, like firemen a lot of times moonlight as construction workers. People all the time have a side gig, and they do that to make money under the table, to squirrel back a few dollars. And now the government's even trying to get where they want to tax you on your Cash App, on your Venmo, on this, on that. I mean, they want to tax everything. I mean, if somebody's paying you back for something, you let them borrow $200, they're going to send it back to you on Cash App because it's more convenient. And then the government's going to tax you for it. I mean, it's just like they're putting their nose in way too many places where it doesn't belong.
Well, and that's our fault because we did not step up to plate and say, hold up, that is not your right. Because, and I don't remember dates, okay, so forgive me, I'm in a time warp. But like the 30s and 40s, the government was not allowed to spend our money without asking us how and getting our approval.
Mm-hmm.
And we were not taxed the way we are now. In fact, it was tariffs that were put on incoming, products. So, it wasn't my favorite subject, economics, history, that kind of stuff. But that should be, I mean, math, history, and economics should be the required subjects.
Yeah.
Fuck spelling. You don't need to know how to spell. You don't need the English. Okay. Yes, I do think, you educate yourself. You can speak clear and concise, and then somebody can understand. Right. I get that. But up to a certain point, then it doesn't matter. Now we need to get in the nitty gritty of how are we balancing. Are you still there?
Yeah. It froze for some reason, but it's back now.
It did freeze. At what point in time, like nobody ever taught me politics. So when I first signed to a party, I said, I'm Democrat. I had no clue what that meant. I had no fucking clue. I am furthest from a Democrat. But quite honestly, I can't say I'm even Republican. I'm a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I believe right is right and wrong is wrong. And I believe that we operate I mean, this is a corporation, right? America is a corporation, which means you have to talk to the people who own the stock. That's fucking us.
Yeah.
That's us. And we get to vote on how you do it. Not you decide for us because we're too incompetent. Because you've filled our food with fucking so much toxins. You've wrapped us in fucking plastic clothing. It's affecting our endocrine systems. I mean, everything. I look around my house and I'm constantly worried. You know, I constantly find out. One of my favorite things for the longest was to every night take a bath in Epsom salts and a bath bomb from Lush. Love Lush. I started thinking, since I'm pregnant, I said, I really should figure out if that's toxic or not. And I thought for sure it wouldn't be because they look organic and they talk about, healthy oatmeal shit, right? So it's got to be healthy for you, right? And I finally did a Google search and I'm like, yeah, sure enough, all those colored dyes. So I'm bathing fucking petroleum. That's what essentially it is. Like,
Is there any hope though? Like, or is there a way to escape it, or is it almost too difficult to not come in
oh, God.
contact with it in some way, shape, or form?
You know, I think the Amish are onto something. I really do. I know I sound like a crackpot maybe. I do think you can strike a balance. I do think the body is meant to detoxify. But with all that we have slathered on and all that we do, short of becoming Amish, no. Like, and I think we are hurtling forward on this train of decimation. And, I think the only real end is burn it all and start over.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say that because I am an extremely hopeful person and I love a lot. I love people. I want to help people. That's why I post bullshit to my story. I try to tell people in as much way as you can possibly do it, change what you're doing.
Yeah.
There is not an excuse at all for not planting a garden if you can't afford organics.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't, afford healthy meat. They're starting to vaccinate fruits and vegetables. They are putting the mRNA stuff
Mm-hmm.
in fruits and vegetables. Why? Because animals aren't working as well. Why? Because animals have livers and livers detoxify. So that's why they're pushing a vegan agenda. Push that vegan agenda, get that RNA, and then these cell towers, who the fuck knows what these cell towers are for? It's definitely not for service because our service sucks just as bad as it ever did.
Yeah. There's nothing great about it.
No.
That's really a wild concept to think about. As long as cell phones have been around and all these fucking companies that have came and went and back throughout the years, like Nextel and Suncom and Alltel and all these, it's basically boiled down to your major players, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, and it's not really gotten leaps and bounds a whole lot better.
Which trickles ultimately to seven companies that run everything.
Mm-hmm.
Every food, everything. And ultimately probably even less than that.
You touched on something earlier. You said our bodies are meant to detoxify certain things. And I believe that because, I'm 41. And when I was growing up, it was not a big thing to go drink water from the garden hose in the
Yep.
yard at my grandparents' house because your feet were dirty because you've been playing all day because you're actually outside and you weren't
Yeah.
going to track mud in the house. So go to the water hose, get you. And every grandkid drank out of it.
We did it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like nowadays you couldn't pay a fucking kid to drink something out of the water hose. They want to go into the, sink and get it out of what they think is good. We would like to think it's good because people tell us it's good, but the fact is I don't think it is. And I think, like you said, our bodies back then could fight off some of that natural shit, but I don't think it wasn't all this poison any and everywhere you looked. It's gotten worse.
And honey, I'm going to tell you, I talk to, 20 something year olds all the time, and even they can't sleep What is up with sleeping? I sleep maybe 2 hours. I wake up. I have to pee. I toss and turn. I feel lucid all night long. I'm dreaming. And then I see reports from people who monitor this stuff that they're shooting out microwave. They can actually watch it roll across the country in pulses. Okay, why? Why? And why at night? Okay, because your body repairs itself when it sleeps.
Mm-hmm.
Because your brain functions well after it sleeps. Number one fucking drug right now is a statin blocker, right? The
Mm-hmm.
cholesterol blockers. Do you know what your brain is made of? Made up of cholesterol. You're blocking your fucking brain. You're blocking your brain from repairing itself by making the cholesterol that it needs. So now, as we're cruising closer and closer to this voting thing, we're assaulted with no sleep. We're assaulted with fear left and right from all these distractions and all this stuff. And we have nothing to repair our bodies. No sleep, no good food, it's just assault upon assault upon assault upon assault. I'd rather just be killed. Just kill me.
Yeah.
Why drag it out?
And that's seemingly what it is. And I had this discussion the other day with a guy at work, and I'm just like, the workforce is largely some of your younger people. And somebody, I think they was throwing out a stat, and he was like, the next generation's workforce is going to be between 21 and 29. And I'm just thinking, this generation is different. They are not as hard. They are very soft. They are easily offended. It is very, very hard to manage that when you're from the old school. And I said, if we had a situation where we had to put boots to the ground and go fight for our country 10 years from now, we would be fucked.
I
And
think
he
we're
was
fucked
like,
now.
well, I think we are too. But he
Yeah.
made a good point, and I give him that. And we had a discussion about it. He said, I agree with you to a point if it was just boots on the ground. He said, the only thing that I think would help us is the advancements in technology is you can put a drone and hook something to a drone and go fly it somewhere to bomb the shit out of it. Nobody's got to actually physically go out there and do it. So I will agree with him on that aspect. But as far as like people getting out there old school combat, we wouldn't stand a chance.
Yeah. I look at the world all the time and I think, I can't tell you how many times I've had workers come to do something in my house. Recently, I installed a humidification system because it's fucking dry here, and I have wood floors upstairs and wood furniture, and wood does not like dry.
Right.
Okay. So I thought, and neither does my body. And I'm not looking for Miami humidity, thanks. But I would like a little bit, right? And drinking a glass of water just isn't enough. Or slathering your body with stuff isn't enough, You just need some humidity in the air. So I thought I'm going to do this, So I paid to have a company come out. They started installing, and the people that they sent, get a load of this. First off, they didn't tell me that they hook their copper line for the water into the washer. Okay, so the spigot that comes out of the washer, they end up changing the spigot so that it has a little offshoot, and that's where their copper line comes in, and that's where they get the water from. Great, I have a great water filter, so it's perfect water, no problem. They didn't tell me, but they ran it all the way across a wall and over to where they put the unit. So, okay, that's fine too. I have no problem. As the guy is taking the spigot, now I have to say he came with like 3 people. 2 or 3 of them were up in the attic, and he's alone in the upstairs, the second floor laundry room. And he's pulling off the spigot from the plumbing of the washer and going to put the new spigot with the offshoot for that copper line. But my valve didn't work. So it didn't shut the water off. Okay. So when he pulled that line off, it's spouting water. Okay. This shithead didn't think, oh, I need to put that back on. No, he just let it. And he kept hollering for his friends up in the attic, thinking that he could shout loud enough for them to hear up in the attic where the fan system for my AC is running. Well, I'm sitting exactly right here where I am, and I hear it raining in my front room. Raining. It starts fucking raining in the corner of my front room. So I walk over there and I start filming it because I'm like, this is some shit. Then I walk upstairs and I'm like, what's going on? It's raining downstairs. I said, you need to stop whatever it is you're doing and you need to call your fucking manager now and get him here now. And I said, I'm calling a restoration company. And immediately the manager calls me and he's like, we're calling our restoration company. Okay, so here's the racket, right? Here's the racket. They tell me the restoration company comes, and they estimate that they're going to have to remove the entire ceiling of my front room and some of the walls because it's went down the walls, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, this is on them. Okay. Here's the kicker. I was like, well, how much are they paying to have this work done? Because I don't have legally, I do not have to use you. I can go in with anybody, and they have to pay for it. Okay. Might I add, they are responsible for everything. So regardless of who they want me to use, it doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
They refused to tell me how much. They refused. So not only did I get a humidification system for free, now I get to repaint my ceiling. I had to have another company come in to give me estimates just to back my ass because I said, I don't know if this company is going to try to sue me because I'm not paying for this humidification system.
Yeah.
You cause damage that I guarantee is equal, if not more than what you're installing. So let's try to avoid that. I had my friend come and handle the dog because the dog was just being a little cute. So yeah, I mean, and that's par for the course nowadays. That is the level of workers that are coming, the level of professionals that are coming.
Yeah, that's your professionalism at its best. And who knows if that's not done on purpose. If they're going to sit there and do that, if they got, I've known people that pull scams like that, like, you know,
and
with all the people I talk with.
Wade, that goes back to, I mean, I like Trump, but I even thought, did he have someone shoot him? Because I've been fed so much bullshit now at this point in time, I could fucking believe anything.
Yeah.
I don't believe anybody anymore. We're at that point that everybody has made us so fucking numb that we can't see straight. We don't know, where's it coming from? Who's coming at us? Is that real? Is that real food? I don't even know anymore.
And you know, a weird tie into this, we can go back to the profession that you're known for. Is adult entertainment like the last real fucking thing left in the world?
God, even that, you know, honey, men. So when I came back to the industry, I did not realize it was as pervasive as it is. But you know, there were before I left and did my hiatus, there were a guy or two that were injecting their dicks. Yeah. And I thought, man, you're in the wrong industry then. Now everyone does. Dude, it's mind-boggling. Even people that don't like to work with alternative performers, I'll just leave it at that, are working with them because they've injected their dick.
What are they injected with?
There is a pharmaceutical product that was made for paraplegic men so that they had, you know, like if you're 18 and you got in a car accident and you can't fucking move, but you get married and you want to have some semblance of a sex life with your wife, you know, they can even get semen out of balls I don't know how that happens. I suppose the factories still work. I don't know, but they can still get
Not completely closed.
right. But they can get a woman pregnant, and he can't even move from the waist down, or the neck down. I mean, it's crazy to me, but that is possible. And yeah, but that's what the drug was intended for.
And so
And
does it
it's
just keep it? It just gets it bigger
it gets it hard. It fills it with blood.
all the time, or just for
So,
the length of time?
I don't know exactly how. I don't know how much and how long because I don't
Right,
inject.
right.
Um, so I don't know if, one, I don't know, milliliter or whatever it is, 1 cc, does you for an hour, but, and it's diminishing returns too. So here's the deal with all of them, Cialis, Viagra, and this product, whatever it is,
Mhm.
they all end your lifespan of career. They put it as finite. So what that means is when you start on your trail of Cialis or Viagra, you have a limited time that it will work for,
Yes.
especially if you're working daily or trying to work like a job.
Right.
If you're trying to work and make a monthly figure like a job, you have now you have set parameters for how
Mhm.
long you can work. And then it doesn't work anymore, diminishing returns. So now you got to up the ante and either take a bigger milligram or move on to the next product.
Because your
And
body
that's
adapts to it, and it doesn't
right,
work as well.
diminishing returns. So as that happens, these guys are moving on to the injectables, right? Some of them are fairly new in the industry and are doing injectables, which is mind boggling to me because let's say, with those diminishing returns, you've now got like 2 years instead of a 5-year career. Now you've got, much less. And I don't know the numbers, so I don't know how
Right.
long they have, but I definitely know it puts an end to it. And when they have abused it too much, their dick no longer works.
Mm.
And when their dick no longer works, now they can look into surgery. And that's what guys are doing. There are many guys who have had surgery, which means, and with the surgery, man, with any surgery, you're talking about something that could fail.
Yes.
It could not work. They could break it worse. Like it could be worse. But they're kind of getting good with the surgery, and there's two different kinds of surgery. They can make it longer or they can make it thicker. And then generally what they do is they have a pump in their ball, like
Right.
a third ball, and they just pump it up when they're ready and to go.
Yeah.
But like I actually know one person in the industry who has ruptured his implant like 3 times and had it replaced, and the doctor has now told him, if you rupture it again, I can't do another surgery for you.
Jesus.
And that's just because he's used it so much. You're talking, I mean, we're fucking for 2 hours, maybe longer. You know, you're sustaining a hard on for, I mean, maybe you've sustained it for the whole time I'm there, and I'm there 8 hours.
That's a long time. I mean, like,
That's a long goddamn time. Yes.
that's, I mean, like, even if you're having a good time, you're enjoying yourself. Like, and I remember the first time I took Viagra, and that thing was
Gives you a heart
like
attack.
added. Yeah, well, that too, and it was added tension for like so, and it was uncomfortable, and I'm just like, and especially too, like I had the situation planned. It was a long time ago, and I had like 3 different dates I was supposed to try to go on. So I'm like, oh, God, do one of those. Well, all 3 wound up canceling for one reason or another. And so that just made it even worse.
So then you
But
had a
like,
hard on for no reason.
yes. And so my first time, I'm thinking, okay, this, get one out the chamber, it'll probably go down. That's not the case. And that's a very uncomfortable feeling if you don't at least have something pleasurable for a certain period of time to offset it.
Yeah.
It's and I can't imagine having like that for all day. And I know people used to joke about it. Like I remember this comedian I watched, and he was like, for an erection longer than 8 hours, consult your doctor. And he's like, oh, somebody's going to need a doctor, but it ain't going to be me. It's going to be my damn wife in the wheelchair. But I mean, you think about that as a guy, like that's a long time to have
it's not healthy.
That would become uncomfortable.
You have to understand the way the penis works and understand that it's filling with blood and the blood is stagnant in there. Mm-hmm. So you now have an appendage. I mean, it's like tying off your arm.
Yeah.
It's the same. So you would never tie off your arm for 8 hours. Mm-hmm. You might amputate the arm. That's what would happen. Mm-hmm. So that's what could potentially happen. I mean, there have been disastrous effects that I know of from people who have injected and had to go to the hospital after 4 days of an erection and their dick is turning blue and they have to have bloodletting, they have to have the blood removed.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yes. It is not, to me, I just think about it and I think that the risk is just so fucking high. I just, But just now knowing
what he got.
Knowing what I know now, I would probably never have done a single solitary plastic surgery. I would never put implants in me. Why? They're toxic as fuck. And you can say whatever you might say about saline versus silicone. The bag is silicone. Mm-hmm. You cannot escape silicone toxicity in the body because the bag is made of silicone. Period. It's mind-boggling to me now, and I think about it like I had a ruptured silicone implant, and I didn't know I was losing my hair. I was losing the outer distal of my eyebrows, and I just thought I had thyroid issues. Well, of course I have thyroid issues. It's probably full of silicone. Mm-hmm. I had severe silicone toxicity, and I removed them, and I eventually got all the silicone out and eventually got the scar tissue that had absorbed all the silicone. I got out eventually. It took a long damn time. But even after that, who cares? Because it's still toxic. You think about that and you're like, hold up. And then you don't have any clue. Do you have any clue? Do you read the labels on the fucking shit that they're putting in your anesthesia? Fluoride, mercury, who the fuck knows? Now I wouldn't take a single solitary vaccine. Nothing. I don't want anything. No. Keep all your shit.
Yeah. I went to the doctor last Friday and there's like, if you had your flu shot, and I'm like, no, there's like, do you want them? I'm like, no. Like, I'll get the fucking flu. Like, I don't trust anything. I never got the COVID vaccine. Nope. Like, my wife was the same way. She was against it. They brought it to the school where she was at, and everybody was like, it was like they just painted it as something you needed and you wanted. And I joked around with my boss man at the time.
You had to have it. I mean, if you were anywhere near New York, you weren't getting anywhere unless you had that little card.
Yeah.
You couldn't go in the fucking restaurant without that little card. It was fucking insanity. Pure insanity, which always should make you question. Always. If they're pushing something that hard, there got to be a reason.
Yeah, there's got to be.
It's got to be a nefarious reason.
And we're not like that far. We haven't found a cure for cancer. We haven't found a cure for AIDS. This thing is off, according to their numbers, offing people in record numbers, according to Kamala, by the hundreds of millions. That she said multiple times, which would pretty much wipe out the population. But you're telling me you came up with something that fast? Like, I can't trust that, bro. I just can't. And I talked to a few actors that said they didn't have a choice but to take it. Not like actual like movie actors, they had to take it to keep working. So they forced a lot of people into it.
Yes, 1,000%. 1,000%. And I'm going to tell you, I think most diseases, Hippocrates said, all disease begins in the gut.
Yes.
Then he also said, let food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food. What does that tell you? Everything you've ingested is going to fuck you up, but that beautiful puzzle piece that God has put on the earth, whatever's fucked you up, you can find something here that can remedy it. And we don't lack, we're not nutrient deficient in medicine. We're not medicine deficient. We're nutrient deficient. True nutrient deficient.
And I think that's why you're getting a lot of different strains of like CBD and stuff like that to try to combat some of this other stuff. I mean, just like, and that almost is scary now with all these different things they're coming out with. I mean, just like, I had a guy told me, he's like, I tried something in California. He's like, I thought I was dying. He's like, this is nothing
If
like
the government,
anything I've
if the
ever.
government has its tentacles into it, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's why I've said it. And I tell people this all the time. I bought land in Tennessee. Why Tennessee? Because it's a red state. I like my guns. It's the Second Amendment for a reason. The very second fucking, that's our right. And it's an inalienable right, which means it wasn't given to us by them.
Mm-hmm.
It's our sovereign right. We have the right to defend ourselves. We have the right to pursue happiness. We have the right to be free. So all this shenanigan, I don't know how it happens, but at some point in time, and maybe it's me, maybe I'll just say I've had enough and stand up and shoot somebody because I'm done. You stand in the way of me helping my neighbor when they've suffered through hurricanes and this and that, and their kids dying and they don't know where this, and like, get the fuck out the way because I will cap you. Like, it's just at that point, and I hate to sound that way, because I'm not trying to incite anybody to do anything. But at some point in time, we have to say enough's enough. The January 6th people, the insurrection, yeah, there was an insurrection. The government was behind most of it, not Trump. There were people in the crowds. And those people that went to jail. They're still suffering. They have still not seen justice. That is not American.
No.
That is not our justice system.
And that happens, like what you said, when I had a situation myself where I was forced to defend myself, and I was put on trial for it, and threatened to spend the rest of my life in jail for something that is supposed to be your right to do in your own house. And you paint people into a corner.
Yep.
Sooner or later, they're going to fight back. A cat might be scared of you. They have to. They're going to back up. But you're going to get so close and they have nowhere else to go. They're going to have to jump back forward.
Yes.
And I do think you're onto something. There was something I seen today on Instagram where this clerk store, I think it was in Orange County, but he's trying to hold his doors shut. And there's these people just yanking on the doors just to get in there and rob it. And they finally get in and, they beat him up. They robbed the store. And I'm just like, if he had a gun and he shot him, then they're going to say, oh, look at this guy. He killed these people. They're just trying to, fuck that. Like, you got no business in that man's store.
Yep.
That is, I mean, if Bidenomics is so fucking good, why ain't you in a job?
Well, now you're infringing on our rights. Period. I mean, we've allowed the taxes to go far enough. We'd allow the economy to go far enough. We've allowed your shenaniganry. I mean, even I could keep a better checkbook, for fuck's sake. So if you're that shitty at keeping a checkbook, it's time to pass the checkbook on to somebody else.
Yeah, give somebody else.
You no longer get my money if this is how bad you treat it. Period. And at some point in time, we just need to stand up. We need to stand together. Fuck color, fuck race. I don't even care if you're alternative. Stand together. Because this is life, right? There's a reason why the Constitution was written the way it was written. It was not written gifting us these. It was stating what is inalienable, is God-given. That is our right. Those are our rights. And
that's you hit the nail on the head, because the government don't give a shit if you're a man, a woman, if what you identify as, non-binary, a cat, LGBTQZXYTL, whatever the fuck. They want the money, and they're going to do whatever they can to get the money. They don't give a shit what you believe in, what your passion is, what you identify.
They want the power, and money just equates to power. That's it. They want the power to say, we have too many people, let's kill off some of them. We're cattle. We are cattle in their eyes. And right now we have too many, so we need to kill off because we can't keep track of all of them. But we will keep them so decrepit. You know, I've often thought, like, could you at least let me live a good, you know, a peaceful, wonderful 80 years? Because we don't even know why the body, I mean, I believe that we have been altered genetically to die at 100, 120, not survive longer deliberately. I think that's deliberate because our body is meant to regenerate. Absolutely every part of our body is meant to regenerate. It makes no sense for us to suddenly die. So you're going to tell me that this precious 80, 90, possibly 100 years that you give me is going to be in pain and suffering the entire fucking time. The first half, I know nothing. You know, the first 30 years I was wandering in the desert stupid. You know, like I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't know how to make friends. I didn't know how to judge character. I didn't know how to balance a checkbook. I didn't know how to earn money and build a legacy. You know, but could I at least have some, like those years? Could I at least work out something? Yes, you can tax me. I'll give you half of what I earn. If you could just leave me the fuck alone and have a great life. Could I just not be in pain all the time? Could I just not, like, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And if someone is in pain, if they're in physical pain, then you know they have a drug for you because everybody's got a drug problem. Back when I was coming up, nobody was on pills. And like when I went to school, nobody was on pills, like at least that I know of.
Do you remember anybody being fat? There was
Not
like one
really.
fat kid in school.
Yeah. Every now and then.
One fat kid in school. But you'd go to parties.
Everybody's
Everyone's
on drugs,
fat.
on pills. Everybody has to, and they have to take it. If they don't, you know, everything's going crazy. There's so many allergies now. Like nobody had all these fucking allergies back in the day.
Yeah. Like, well, keep spraying us with shit. Keep filling our, I mean, pretty soon we're going to have to pay for air.
Yeah. I think it's getting to that. I really do.
They're going to monitor how much meat we eat. They're trying to get it so that you can't farm. Like, what's left? I have to secret away in my back basement room, and I've got a garden, that tomato plant. You know, like, come on. Enough already.
Yeah, it's not a great outlook, that's for sure. Like for the first time, I think really in my life, like I've always said, I look forward to getting older and grandkids and all that, and I still do. Like I hope to God I can see that, but I'm also scared of what.
Do you know what I think? I think life is this, and I think right now we are here. And we're about to make this horrible, nasty dip. And it's going to be hard, right? And it's going to be harder than, I mean, when the Great Depression happened 100 years ago, right? And that's about how long currencies last and nations last. And I mean, things are on a cycle, right?
Yeah.
So I think it could be a very momentous time. Hence, why I did what I did. I think it's a scary, pivotal time to be alive. I definitely think I think every day of digging out something somewhere like a bunker style and making it airtight, watertight, and having air producing things inside it so that if should shit hit the fan, I can hunker down. Like I'm not the government and I don't have multi-million dollars to invest in a, you know, serious underground city. But there are things you can do, and I think there will be pockets that will survive.
Yeah.
Be smart, be prepared, educate yourself, buy books, read, get books from before a certain year because they are changing books now. That's why I don't believe in the school system. They're changing knowledge. They don't want us to know. It's why the Vatican has squirreled away all of that, artwork and books and this and that. It's so nobody else has the knowledge. Because with knowledge comes freedom. And it might not even be the knowledge of learning how to farm. It's the knowledge of knowing, what if you knew that this was not the only life? That we were for sure going to be reincarnated, that there is another place we go. And I don't mean heaven.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not talking heaven. I'm talking you get to repeat things and you get to
Yeah.
try again and do different stuff. Maybe you go to another plane and you can be a ghosty. Maybe you go to another alternative parallel universe and you get to try this shit again, but under little different circumstances. What if you knew that? It would change how you operated now. You wouldn't operate in fear because you'd
Yeah.
be like, balls to the wall, motherfuckers,
I got a redo coming up.
Right. They would never want you to know that. They
Yeah.
want you in fear. They want you to think this is it. So you better live it good. Don't do this and don't do that, and you better listen to us. That's why they squirreled away everything. That's why the Bible that we have is not the full Bible.
Right.
They took out what they wanted. What they didn't want you to know, you're not going to get to know.
And that's the dirty deeds. Have you ever seen? I can't remember the name of the movie right offhand, and we'll close out with this. It's on Netflix. I think it was a Netflix movie. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it, where they spot this asteroid coming to Earth.
Don't look up.
Don't look up. So you remember, like, they know this fucking thing is coming. Somebody told me about that the other day. I'd never seen it. I don't know how the movie got by me. They know this thing's coming. They figure it out. They're like, okay, if we can get to it by this time, well, good. We'll save the world. Everybody will be safe. And that multi-quasi-billionaire is like, well, if we can land on it and take some of the stuff from it, it will make us millions. And the guy's like, I think Leonardo flips the fuck out and just goes on this tirade. I want to make a short out of that and put it out. He's like, what the fuck good is that going to do you if we're dead? And I think that's really like the moniker of where we're heading right now. You're doing all this shit to make money, money. Everything's about money. What is it going to do you if the fucking world implodes?
Well, here's another philosophy. If they have the power, have they gotten off the planet? If they know and they have all the knowledge, and here's another theory. Apparently, they hypothesize that our universe, our galaxy, is growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's growing. The sun produces another planet. Therefore, what the one outside of us is what we will look like. The one inside of us will look like us. It just is a chain that keeps going like that.
Wow.
If that's the case, and if you could hop planets, who cares?
Yeah.
Because you have all of that to move on.
Yeah. You just take it to the next one.
And now that fucking makes sense. That's the only thing that I say, okay, now actions make a little sense. You know it's over.
Yeah.
You're going to glean as much as you can to go to the next one so that your family survives, that your lineage, survives, and you know how to get there.
It does make sense when you look at it. If that's
I hate to say it, I don't know, like I'm talking out my ass. I just hear theories all the time and I hear stuff and I'm like, wow, but that makes sense to me.
Well, at least you're thinking. That's the problem is people, I think, they don't think anymore. They just take what there's so many people see something and they just take it as fact. Even something as simple as a meme, you take like a saying that could be a very good, positive saying. That's probably the truth. But you put like Jack Nicholson behind it, smoking a fucking cigar. Jack Nicholson probably never fucking said that, but people are going to automatically think that and share it.
Yep.
And to a certain aspect, I get it, but it's like you got to do just a little research and do a little bit on your own. And just the fact that you are doing the thinking is great because so many people nowadays don't.
Wake up, eat better, think logical. Oh, we're back.
Yep,
Yeah.
frozen.
You know,
See, they're trying to block you from what you were saying. I want you to repeat that because it didn't. You said wake up, think better, and what?
probably. I think if people were sound of mind, ate good, your gut your gut microbiome does more than just your immune system. It helps with even like when you meet somebody and and you say, I know in my gut. There's a reason why that is.
Yeah.
It's legit that your gut will read their microbiomes talk to each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that person's off.
Yeah.
You just know that's not a person for me. Or I like this person. This person's good,
Yeah. I
But you
usually
can't.
can tell quickly if there's going to be a good vibe there.
Well, you probably eat somewhat good. You probably don't aren't as full as all the bullshit, and you probably think well.
Yeah.
What you feed your mind, garbage in, garbage out,
Yeah.
and it applies to everything. It's all consumption. Even consumption of music, consumption of what you read, what you pay attention to, what you watch. If you're watching that kind of stuff, then that's garbage in, garbage out,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Anyway, Wade, another
Ryan,
long sesh.
it's been a pleasure having you on. I always enjoy the conversations because I think a lot of people get surprised. It's not always directed at one narrative. I love having you on. I love your Instagram. Before we get
Thank you.
out of here, tell everybody where they can go to track you down, find you, keep up with Ryan Connor. Let them know.
Oh, well, if you're into it, hit me up on OnlyFans because I love chatting with motherfuckers. It's the only place I chat. But if you like Instagram, I try to spread the word in the story, and
Mhm.
then I try to post when I can. But I'm a little bit of a retard because I'm Gen X, right? So we don't take very well to social media stuff. Um, but Instagram is Ryan Connor X World. Twitter is Ryan Connor 69. Most of it, I think, is Ryan Connor 69 ish, somewhere in that vicinity. So, yeah.
Yeah. Make sure it's the real one on Twitter. There's like a billion fake ones out there.
Oh, the same with Instagram. Jesus, it's a lot. I mean, yeah.
Well, Ryan,
Best you could
thank you
do is
for
best
coming
to
on the
do.
show. Oh yeah,
Thank
yeah, for
you.
sure. Thank you for coming on the show. Best of luck with everything. I hope
Thank
everything
you.
goes well. Keep us
Thank you,
updated
baby.
on what you're doing, what you got going on. Hopefully one
Will
day we
do.
can meet in person. But until then, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you, sweetheart. Have a good night.
You too. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Hollywood Wade. That was Ryan Connor. That'll do it for this episode of Crime and Entertainment. We'll see you next week.